Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. And I'm so grateful, thankful, and so excited to welcome you to another promising edition of the Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola. As usual, I've done a thorough comprehensive analysis on the instrument we have been monitoring so far this week, and I've been able to identify simple setups that we are going to be using to manage our existing trade and at the same time position ourselves ahead of both the London and the New York session. So we are going to be focusing on a comprehensive price action perspective, and together we are going to explore the recent market movement and chart patterns to uncover valuable insights that could greatly influence our trading decisions, able to do necessary adjustments to make our experience better here. So with that being said here, can we dive right into the business for today? And as usual, the first instrument that we are going to be looking at, before we go into the instrument we are going to be looking at for today, we of course want to be checking on the economic calendar. And we all know how important these fundamental factors are, as it always manifests on the chart in technical patterns and of course price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and of course specific technical patterns. So with this in mind, we all know that this information will also help us in timing and at the same time helping us to position ourselves in such a way that we can catch potential trading opportunities during the London and the New York session. So with that being said, let's dive right into the economic calendar. And for today, Thursday, July 13th, you know how we do it. We normally focus on high impact events that will be affecting the currency pairs that we are monitoring so far this week. And for today, Thursday, July 13th, we have the producer price index, excluding food and energy. And this index is normally released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Department of Labor. This is an index that measures the average changes in prices in primary markets of the US by producers of commodities in all states of processing. Generally speaking, a high reading is seen as positive for the US dollar, while a low reading is seen as negative for the US dollar. And from the previous data we have here, last month, the month of May, came in at 2.8%. So we're having a general consensus that are projecting a 2.6. So there is this understanding in the market that there has been a contraction in the producer price index. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is going to be. Will it be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation, as this would also be a key determinant of price action will be moving. But one thing we are going to be doing here as technical traders is to ensure that we position ourselves strategically in such a way that we can take advantage of that move when it finally happens. So with that being said here, we are going to be diving right into the chart. And I'm still here to see feedbacks as regards to the sound and the visual quality. Please let me know if things are going on fine out there, as this will help me to ensure that we have a better experience. So if I know early enough, I will be able to do the necessary issues. Please let me know in the comment section. So with that being said here, we shall be diving right into the first instrument for today. So the first instrument we are going to be taking on is the USOilSPOT. Now, on the US All Spot, since the beginning of the week, we have been profitable. So far, so good. Though we had situations at the beginning of the week where we had, I think, a couple of losses. We had some buys, we had some sells, which actually went in a loss. But thank goodness we were able to recoup the loss we incurred, and of course, made profit on top of it. So before we go into the details of what our expectations is going to be looking like for today, I would love to take us through what has been going on since the beginning of the week. So at the beginning of this week, we initially saw a range. We identified a range which was between the $73.60 level. Remember, we had a very tight range first of all, before price action expanded into a huge or wider range between the $74 level and of course the $73 level. And this was quite a very insightful setup here, which gave us an idea into the level of indecision at that particular point in time. Now, if you remember vividly, on Tuesday's live session, we identified a couple of trend lines which we said we were going to be using to guide our trading activity for Tuesday's trading session. And one of the trend line is this descending trend line after connecting the series of lower highs. Remember, then we also had the ascending trend line here after connecting the series of higher lows. And coupled with the fact that we saw a dynamic demand zone where sellers were struggling to break through the zone, we were of the opinion that buyers might likely push price to the upside. And one of the things we were looking forward to guide this bullish momentum was a breakout and retest of that descending trend line. And that was exactly what happened during the New York session on Tuesday. And since then, we have been buying the US All Spot. And interestingly enough, we were able to maximize the potential of this bullish move by adding more positions at the breakout of the $73.60 level. We also added more positions at the $74 level and of course the $75 area yesterday to maximize this move. And in fact, at this point in time, we have about 4 positions running with over 300 pips in profit on this one. And for those who are taking advantage of these opportunities, well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we want to be moving all stop losses to secure the current buy position. And for me personally, based on this current structure, I will be suggesting that we move all stop losses to somewhere around the entry of the 4th position here, just to give enough room for price action to break. So we want to make our stop loss a little bit wide enough, as we could still see some volatility in this market. So we want to contain that volatility while we also stay in the game for more opportunities to maximize this move. So right now, with a well secured buy position at this juncture on the market, what is going to be our next line of action? Well, I shared an update this morning on my public platforms, both on the TradingView and of course the Telegram platform. So if you are with me on both the TradingView and Telegram platform, you would have gotten an update in that regard. And what was our plan for today on the US All Spot? So this morning I shared here, I said 4 positions are still active, yielding over 300 pips, while the price action undergoes a consolidation period before the imminent release of the producer price index, which is coming up later today. It is advisable to safeguard all buy positions and remain vigilant for potential opportunities to enter new buying positions. So this was the structure I identified here, and with a new level had a $75.90 level, which will be guiding our trading activity for today. Now, going back into the live chat, this is where we were at this point in time. And one thing you would observe here, let me zoom in so that we can see things clearly. One thing you will is that as soon as price action got into that area around the $75.90 zone, we begin to see attempt by the sellers to break through, by the sellers to negate all attempt from the buyers to break through that zone. And this for us is a clear sign that sellers are present around this area, and there could be a tendency of profit-taking activity which could come in the form of a retracement phase to the downside, probably in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. Now, the question going into the London and the New York session today is that will the $75.90 zone hold as a strong selling niche to incite a bearish momentum today, or will it be broken to the upside to incite another wave of bullish momentum? Now, the current structure will give us an idea of what is likely going to be happening here. Well, the first thing I want to do here is to extend that bullish trend line which has been supporting the bullish momentum since the beginning of the week, and of course this trend line has been guiding our moves. Now, I want to extend this trend line a little bit further, as we're definitely going to be using it to guide our trading activity. Now, like I was saying earlier, that if the persistence of sellers around the $75.90 happens, we might likely see price action drop back into the ascending trend line to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So this is a possibility that could happen in this market, and we also want to take it into consideration while we also monitor the price action from this juncture. Now, besides this ascending trend line, we should also note that there has been a deviation from that ascending trend line. Let's see what happens here. I think we have something around here, so I'll make this a little bit thinner. Okay, so we have a couple of trend lines here which we can also use today to guide our trading activity. So we have been seeing a situation here since Tuesday's trading session when price broke out of this trend line. So we have been noticing higher lows here, giving us a vehicle to push price further to the upside, as you can see here. And right now, price action is right on that ascending trend line here. So as long as price remains above this ascending trend line, we shall still consider buying or getting or adding more position to our existing trade. Now, with the situation we have here, remember we are already profitable on the USOilSPOT so far this week. So what we are going to be doing now is to leverage on the profit we had made so far and test waters above the $75.90 level. So we are going to be having a buy stop order above this structure to capitalize on a potential move to the upside. Now remember, this is meant for those who are already profitable on the USOilSPOT. So if you're already profitable, you can still risk some of the leverage on some of the profit you had made this week to test waters around that area. But if you are new on this position and this is your first position you're going to be taking on the USOil this week, well, I would implore that you exercise some patience at this juncture in the market, as we will need price action to take out the sell positions here to give us a sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum. And what we want to look out for here is a breakout of that structure to happen. Then as soon as we have a breakout of that level, we scale down into our lower time frame. It could be your 10 minutes, 5 minutes or 15 minutes time frame to look out for signs that buyers are gradually gaining momentum and sellers are losing that steam around that zone. And this will reflect on the chart as a retest of structure, or it could even come into the trend line. Most importantly, we look out for buying pressure like reversal patterns, then we can join that bullish momentum to the upside. But if you're already profitable on this trade so far this week, you can just afford to place a buy stop order above that structure and have a stop loss of about, let's see, about a 50-55 pip stop loss, just to make sure that we give room for price action to breathe here. So on the USOilSPOT for today, we remain bullish, and this is how we are going to be looking out for more opportunities to maximize the potential on this bullish momentum we've been enjoying so far so good. Now, with the situation we have here, you know how we do it in this community. In as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity, we also want to take into consideration the potentials that the sellers also have at this juncture in the market. So what will happen here? What chances does seller have at this current market structure to push price to the downside? Now, like I said earlier, we already identified a level here which has been characterized by selling pressure, and this has been going on since the New York session yesterday. And if price persists below this level, there is a high chance that we could see a retracement move, profit taking activities, but this does not negate the potential of a bullish momentum in the market. So we could see a situation where price could break down either of the trend lines to incite a move back into the structure. It could be the let me extend this out a little bit. It could be the $74.55 area. Now it now depends on how price action reacts to the zone that will determine if we are going to be continuing the trend to the downside or getting ready to add another buy position here. So if price action gets into the structure, if you are taking a sell, that's a counter trend opportunity. As soon as price gets into the zone, we definitely want to be moving our stop losses to secure the position. As we said earlier, depending on what happens here will determine what our next course of action will be. So if we start seeing buy pressure around this area, then it could be a very beautiful sign to join a trend continuation to the upside. But if price action breaks through this trend line to the downside, we could likely see a sell-off from the structure after a retest of this level. So these are the things I'm going to be looking at for today on the USOilSPOT. But trust me, I'm going to be with you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates if there is any interesting new setup unfolding on the chart. So these are my views here on the USOilSPOT. So we took and I shared an idea on what to look out for buying opportunity, and I also talked about the potentials of sellers pushing price to the downside, which could come in the form of a retracement of the previous impulsive move we witnessed in the last couple of days. So if you have any questions regarding what I just explained and you need further clarifications, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before I move on to the next instrument. And you can as well take that time to mark these levels out on your chart, as you will be needing them to as a reference point to guide your trading activities for today. So let's see if there are any questions and before we move on to the next instrument. I see your comment, Reti Doe. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you very much for that feedback. I really do appreciate and trust you are doing well out there. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are on the same page here. So I will be moving on to the next instrument. But before I do, I just identified a new level around the $75.55 level. Let me give you a clearer chart so that we can see what I'm talking about here. So like I said, I already identified a new level along the $75.55 level, which has been a buying niche in the since the early hours of today. And this will also help us to guide our selling opportunities. So if price action breaks down that structure, then we might be in for a counter trend opportunity that will incite a bearish move into either the ascending trend line that was guiding our bullish momentum since the beginning of the week, or the $74.55 area to inside the trend continuation. So let's see how price action will play out around this zone. Ryan says, I see your comment. You said fairly new to trading. Can you going over the spread and when to make a buy or sell? Ryan says you can contact me personally on that one, so we can discuss on that one. Okay, I have my Telegram link in the description box below. You can contact me on that one. We can talk about that. All right, so in the absence of no questions, let's move on to the next instrument on our watch list for this week. And the next instrument on our watch list is the GBPUSD. So on the GBPUSD, in fact, we have been very, very profitable on this commodity since the beginning of the week. We have been buying and adding more position to our existing trade, and it was just only on Wednesday yesterday that we had a sell which closed at break even, and the bullish momentum continued to the upside. Before we go into the details of what to look out for today, I want us to quickly run through how the week started so that we can all be on the same page and better understand how what incited the idea of buying the GBPUSD. Now, on the 1 hour time frame which we are currently on, so at the beginning of the week, we initially saw how price action was ranging. In fact, we had a sell position at the beginning of the week. We saw how price action was ranging between the 1.28420 and of course the 1.28200 level, giving us a clue into the level of indecision at that point in time. And one thing we did here was that, okay, fine, you know how we do it whenever we have a flat channel like this. We want to wait patiently for a new signal to happen, which always comes in the form of either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. And if you remembered vividly, on Monday, we initially had a breakdown of the structure prior to the session, and we said we are going to be looking forward to a retest of that level to inside a sell move, which we actually took advantage of, and it gave us quite a couple of bucks there before we were taking out, had a worst case scenario break even if you had moved your stop loss to break even. But if you had moved your stop loss to a certain area below your entry point, you would have taken a modest size of profit on that one. Then after that sell position we witnessed here, we begin to see the bullish traction resume around this area. And remember, I told us all that we are not going to be buying if price action still remains below this descending trend line. And it's because of this we didn't take advantage of that buying opportunity here. So what we did was to wait and see how the market will be reacting to this trend line, and we agreed there on Monday that if we do have a breakout of that trend line, we are going to be getting ready to buy. And that was exactly what happened. We saw the breakout of this trend line, and of course the 1.282 to give us our first buy position for the week. And since then we have been buying and adding more position to our existing trade. Now look at what we did here. We capitalized on this move. We had structures like the 1.28420. We had structures like the 1.285. We also had structures like the 1.28950 and of course the 1.29150 to maximize this bullish move as it hit our TP target right here on Wednesday. So congrats to everyone who has been part of this trading journey. Now, yesterday's trading session, we identified a new setup yesterday where we said we are going to be looking out for how price action will be reacting to that level. And remember, we had an ascending trend line which has been supporting the bullish momentum since the beginning of the week. And we agreed here yesterday that we are going to be using this trend line to guide our trading activity for the later part of the week. And one of the things we saw here yesterday, this was where price action was during our live session. Remember, we were around here. And one thing we were saying is that if price action breaks down the trend line, we are going to be selling, which I actually did. I had a sell stop order below the 29350, moved my stop loss, and we were taken out of that position as price action climbed back above the trend line. And I told us all, gave an update on all platforms, that we are going to be having a buy stop order above the 297 to capitalize on that trend continuation to the upside. And as you can see here, what happened, price action since then have been moving to the upside. And if you are taking advantage of this one, you would be currently running with about 90 pips in profit, which is not bad after taking profit, multiple entries profit a couple of days ago. Now we have another 90 pips in profit going on at this point in time. And this morning I also shared an update that we are going to be adding more positions at the breakout of the 1.30150 level. It has been quite an interesting situation for us here on the GBPUSD as the pound sterling continues to rise and find new highs. And if we look at it from a fundamental factor, why is the pound sterling rising all of a sudden in the last couple of months? Well, it is quite simple. Remember that we have this, the UK still remains the highest inflation infected economy in Europe, in both Europe and America. And because of this, the Bank of England has been increasing the interest rate. And when interest rate of a currency is increased, definitely investors and traders will want to invest in that commodity or that asset because of the high yield of return. And this can be the reason why we have been seeing a lot of investment in the pound sterling, and price action continue to climb, find new highs. So we don't know how far this is going to go, so I will continue to extend my TP so that we can maximize the potential of this move. Now, before we go into the details of what to look out for today, let's run through my commentary this morning on the GBPUSD so that we can all be on the same page. But for those who are with me on the TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten this update. So let's talk about what we said here this morning. So this is how we have been monitoring and our position since the beginning of the week on the GBPUSD. So this morning I explained here that the buy position continues to run in profit. It is essential to secure the position while we eagerly anticipate the outcome of the producer price index from the US economic docket. And I identified another level at the 1.30150 that we can capitalize on for today. And as you can see, price has moved significantly well in our favor. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, well, it's okay. Let's see if the market will still give us more opportunity to maximize this move. So at this point in time, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, I will advise you to remain patient here as we just saw the breakout of this structure here at the 1.30150, and let's see if the market will come back and probably retest that structure. If it does, then we want to look out for buying pressure around this area to join the trend continuation to the upside. So that is one scenario that could happen today, which we could also take advantage of. Then the other scenario that could happen here is that this impulsive move might get to a point where we begin to see price action transition into a consolidation phase around here, evolving into a trend continuation pattern where the breakout of the resistance line will welcome the trend continuation to the upside. So, but trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates on how we intend to maximize the potential of this move. So at this point in time, we shall remain patient, ensure all positions are secured. So I didn't talk about where we want to be securing our positions right now. Personally, I'm going to be suggesting anywhere below the entry point here. Of course, we are profitable so far this week, so this one is not something we want to be clinging on to. Let's give room for price action to breathe and see if we are going to still see more opportunities to maximize this move all the way to the upside. So well done everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. Congratulations to you guys for being patient enough and being on standby to capture that move. So these are my views here on the GBPUSD. So on the GBPUSD, we still remain very bullish as long as price action remains above that ascending trend line. So if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to what I just explained, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument. And you can as well take that time to mark out these levels on your chart, screenshot my screen if you want to, as you will be needing them as a reference point when you're about to make your independent decision on your own account. So let's see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument. Okay, I saw. Okay, finest Telegram channel you can find. Okay, thank you for the comments, GOEFX. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support and the compliments. Thank you. Ryan Caesar. Okay, I hope to hear from you soon, Ryan. Mansur, how are you doing today? Good morning to you, Mansur. Trust you are doing very, very well out there. What tools we can use to now that retest has been done? Which pair are you talking about? I'm not sure which pair you are talking about here, but asking of what tools we need when a retest has been done. Well, most importantly, I always mention countless of times that whenever price action breaks out of a structure, that we want to look out for a retest to happen. And when we are looking out for retest of structure, we want to scale down to a much more lower time frame. So you can go to as far as your 5 minutes, 3 minutes, or 2 minutes time frame, depending on what it is. But one thing you want to see, okay, for instance, now let me cite this scenario here. Break out of structure. We want to wait for price to come back and retest this level. So when you scale down to your lower time frame, you want to see signs that buyers are gradually gaining momentum and that sellers are finding it difficult to break down this area. And this kind of scenario will reflect on the chart as something like this. And most importantly, I always tell my clients to have basic knowledge on reversal patterns. When you have knowledge on reversal patterns, you can easily identify such patterns when price action retests structures like this, like double bottom structures, head and shoulder pattern, falling wedge, whichever case it may be. Identify a neckline and look for the breakout of that structure to join that reversal move, that trend continuation to the upside. So if you're talking about tools at this point, I lean towards reversal patterns, especially when price action comes into such an area to retest that structure. But it's not all the time that we have retest of structure in the form of a reversal pattern. We could just see an accumulation phase, something like this. Price action drops into that structure and it continues to reject it multiple times. If you see something like this, it's also a good sign to get ready to join a trend continuation to the upside. So these are things that we look out for whenever we see price action come back to retest the structure. So Mansur, I hope I made myself clear. If you think if you still need further clarifications, feel free to let me know in the comment section. All right, guys, so with that being said here, and in the absence of no other questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page. So we shall be moving on to the next instrument on our watch list. All right, so the next instrument on our watch list is the XAUUSD. Now, on the XAUUSD, we also had a phenomenal journey this week on this instrument, as we can count the XAUUSD as one of the most profitable trades we have incurred this week. In fact, we were able to scoop a significant amount of profit across all the financial instruments on our watch list for this week. And in fact, congratulations to everyone who had been part of this profitable journey. So let's quickly run through how the week started for us on the XAUUSD as we saw this bullish momentum began. So here we are on the 1 hour time frame. So first of all, let's go to the higher time frame here. I think things got a little bit clearer when we see things from an holistic point of view. So we saw something on the 4 hours time frame which incited the idea that we are going to be buying the XAUUSD today, this week rather. So what we saw at the beginning of the week was this one right here. So initially we identified a trend line where we saw price action finding lower highs in this particular market, and as a result of this we connected the lower highs together, the series of lower highs, to give us, in fact, we had a couple of trend lines here which has been supporting that bearish momentum in the last couple of months. Now, something interesting we saw here at the beginning of the week, despite the lower highs we saw here, we could see that price action was enabled to find lower low. And a lower low is a clear sign that the trend to the downside is very, very strong. But what we saw here instead was that as soon as price action got into the 1,900 zone, we begin to see buy pressure resume around that area. So sellers were struggling around that area. So it was very, very difficult for sellers to break through that level, as we saw buyers come in to negate that bearish momentum. We saw the same thing happen last week, as we saw a sharp rejection of that same zone. And with this scenario we saw here, it was a clear sign that a bullish momentum is gradually building up behind the scenes. And when we connected the series of higher lows, we had an ascending trend line. And interestingly, besides this ascending trend line, we also identified a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. I hope you can see this if you are not part of the live session at the beginning of the week. So we saw this after considering this impulsive move to the downside. We saw price come back into the 1,930. We saw price unable to find a new low, as we saw a higher low here, giving us something that looks like a double bottom structure. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as we start identifying the evolution of price action into a potential reversal pattern, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline of that reversal pattern. And coincidentally, the neckline also shares a confluence with our key level for the week, sitting at the 1,930. And remember what we said here on Monday, that we are going to be waiting for a breakout of this neckline to confirm and validate the potency of this reversal pattern. And what we were actually looking out for was the breakout retest of that key level, which was also serving as a neckline of that reversal pattern. And one more thing we did on Monday, if you remember, was that we wanted to capitalize and maximize on that move by joining that bullish momentum early enough, even before the breakout of the neckline happened. And remember, we were able to capitalize on that move even before the breakout happened. And as soon as the breakout happened, we continued to add more position to our existing trade as we rode that move all the way to the upside. So well done to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. Then during our live session yesterday, remember that we now have the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which started 2 weeks ago, where we trade the XAUUSD together. For those who don't know, we have a platform here on YouTube where we run a live monitoring of the XAUUSD, where we trade the XAUUSD together. And with our trading journals, it starts 11:45 AM UTC, like 15 minutes before the New York session begins. So I will be sharing the link to that window towards the end of the session, so that we can also click it and click the notify me button, so that we can get notified when we come on live. So let's run through what we saw here yesterday to make us capitalize on this move. So yesterday, this was where we were during the live session yesterday, and in fact on the XAUUSD monitoring platform. So we were around here where price action was currently ranging right around that ascending trend line, and you know, price action sitting above our ascending trend line. Of course, we want to be looking out for buying opportunity as long as price remain above our trend line. And before the CPI data yesterday, we identified a simple setup here. We had a range between the $1,936.50 level and of course the $1,933.60 area, where I said yesterday that we are going to be having a sell stop order below the 1,933. That is, if price breaks below that level, then we could be looking out for selling opportunity, as the ascending trend line would have been broken to the downside. Then we also added a buy stop order above the $1,936.50 level. I remember, and as you can see, we had our buy positions triggered, and we also added another buy stop order above the $1,941 level, which was also triggered during that period. And in fact, though the market did not give us new opportunities to add more positions, as there were no structures along that impulsive move to the upside. Very profitable week for us on the XAUUSD, and congrats to everyone who has been part of this journey. Now that we are going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans and how do we intend to maximize this move? Are we going to continue to see bullish momentum today, or are we going to be getting ready for some retracement move to the downside? So this morning I shared a commentary on the XAUUSD where I explained what we are going to be doing today to manage our current position, and at the same time getting ready for another opportunity today. So this morning I shared, where is it? So I said here that we have achieved a combined profit of 450 pips from two positions in the last 24 hours only. It is crucial to secure all buy positions while actively seeking new opportunities above the $1,963.50 level. Additionally, it is worth noting that the market participants are eagerly anticipating the release of the producer price index later today, which could serve as a catalyst for potential price movement. So this was what I saw here, a new level at the $1,963.50 level, where I'm looking forward to more opportunities to buy if price action ever breaks out of that level. So let's go back into the live chat and see what we are talking about here. Now, one thing you will observe here is that as soon as price action got into that zone, had the $1,963.50 level, which happens to be the highest point price action has been for this week, we have been noticing some selling pressure. And even prior to that structure, we have noticed how price action has fell into a choppy situation, as you can see here. So the next thing we want to be doing here is to identify this range. So I will be bringing out my line chart, and then we shall connect these levels together to give us something to work with for today. So we have the 1,955 level marked out, 50-cent level marked out on our chart. So you want to be marking this level out on your chart, as we are going to be using it to guide our trading activity for today. And there's one more structure here along the 1,959.50. I'll give this a different color. So let's give this a red. $1,959.55. I will be sharing with you in a moment why that is. All right, so here we go now. So let's go back to our candle chart at this point. So now we have a range already where price action has been consolidating since the New York session yesterday. And what this simply tells us is that there is an indecision going on right now, as there is a culmination in that bullish momentum we are seeing so far, and there is a tendency for profit-taking activity to start coming in. And when profit-taking activity start coming in, it will of course reflect on the chart as a retracement of that previous impulse leg. So now the question for today is that will this range we just have here between the $1,963.50 level and the $1,955.50 level evolve into a trend continuation pattern or a reversal pattern? Now let us talk about the potentials of buyers from this current structure. Well, at this point in time, this range could evolve into a trend continuation pattern where a breakout of the $1,963.50 level will trigger more opportunities to buy. And in that regard, I already have a buy stop order above the $1,963.50 level to capture that bullish move to the upside. And this is simply because of the fact that I already have made profits on the XAUUSD this week, and I can afford to leverage on the profits I've made so far to test waters around that area. But normally when you want to trade a breakout of structure, I prefer a breakout to happen, then scale down to your lower time frame to look out for retest of structure before you want to be joining that move to the upside. But since I'm already profitable, I can afford to test the waters around that area with a stop loss of about let's see, about 60 pips thereabout, just right below the $1,959.55 level to secure our portfolio from going into drawdown, of course. So above the $1,963.50 levels looks promising to add more buy position to my existing trade. But for those who are taking the position for the first time, well, you just want to wait as soon as the breakout happens, scale down to your lower time frame and look out for retest of structure to join a bearish move to the downside. So that is how we are going to be buying the XAUUSD today. Now let's talk about the potentials the sellers have in this particular market. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity here, let us look at the potentials the sellers also have at this juncture in the market. So I will extend this trend line a little bit. Remember, this trend line has been guiding our bullish momentum since the beginning of the week. Thank goodness. We should appreciate that trend line as it has helped us to manage our bullish momentum so far this week. Now, the trend line is hanging right now, and it appears that a retracement phase seems long overdue at this point in time. And if the selling pressure around the zone continues, we might likely see a situation where price will break down the $1,955.50 level to incite a retracement back into either the $1,941.50 level or the ascending trend line, probably to incite another wave of bullish momentum if we start seeing buying opportunities above or around the structure. But if a breakdown happens, then we will definitely be looking forward to a retest of structure to incite a sell-off in this particular market. Now, the question now is, are you going to be taking advantage of the breakdown of the 1,955? Well, personally for me, I wouldn't be doing that because this is a very strong bullish momentum. I would rather want to be looking out for buying opportunity here. A breakdown of the 1,955 level is more or less a counter trend opportunity. But if you are a counter trend trader and you feel comfortable taking trades in the opposite direction, well, it's something you can look at, as you could have a potential of about 130 pips to catch here if price action continues to the downside. But if I start seeing strong tendencies that sellers are gradually gaining momentum, of course, I will be giving you updates in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform on how we are going to be joining the bearish move. But at this point in time, I will hold on and wait if price breaks down the 1,955 and see how it will react with that juncture along the ascending trend line and the 1,941 area to decide what my next line of action will be on this commodity. So this is my view here on the XAUUSD for today. And if you have questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and we'll be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, and you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart. All right. Okay, Mansour, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad you find the explanation helpful. All right. So in the absence of no question, let's run through the last instrument for today. So the last instrument on our watch list for today is the USDJPY. Another phenomenal trading activity on this instrument. So far so good this week. In fact, it was a very simple setup. Price action consistently and uniformly respected both descending trend line to help us maximize the potential of this bearish move so far this week. So let's quickly run through how the week started for us on the USDJPY. So at the beginning of the week, this was what we saw here. We saw our price action started on a very strong bullish note as we saw price buy pressure resume above our week's key level, had a 142.00 area to inside that bullish traction to the upside. But as soon as price got into the 143.00 level, another psychological area, considering the round figure of that price, we saw a sharp rejection of that level to push price back into the structure to give us a beautiful flat channel to work with at the beginning of the week. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action falls within a range like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to remain patient, waiting for price action to give us a signal, which of course will come in the form of a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. And if you saw what happened here, price indeed broke down the support line to trigger our sell position during the early hours of the New York session. And at this point, we had our first sell position for the week. And we continue to maximize the bearish momentum to the downside, as you can see, riding that move all the way to the downside. Remember, we had sell stop orders below the 141.00 level. We also had below the 140.420, and of course we had below the 139.400 level to capitalize on this bearish move. And on this single trade here on the USDJPY, we were able to scoop over 900 pips in profit on the multiple entries we had here. Congratulations to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey on the USDJPY. Now, before we go into the details of what our expectation is going to be looking like for today, I want us to run through the commentaries I shared on the USDJPY this morning as regards to what we are going to be doing ahead of the London and the New York session today. Now, this is how we have been monitoring. So this morning I said we have accumulated a substantial profit of 930 pips from all four positions, and it is crucial to secure all positions accordingly. The market is presently in a consolidation phase, which is typically associated with the anticipation of a high impact economic event such as the PPI, that is the producer price index. To navigate today's trading activities, we have identified new structures in the 1 hour time frame to serve as guiding indicators. Now let's go back into the live chat to see what I was trying to say here. So we shall zoom right into where our center of focus is going to be for today. Now look at what has been going on here in the last 24 hours. And it's quite interesting that price action has been caught within that range between the 138.850 and of course the 138.320 to give us an insight into the level of indecision in this particular market. And you know how we do it in this community. When price action falls into this kind of range, we want to wait patiently for either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. And with the situation here, and for those who still have a sell position running, just like me, well, I would advise you to move all stop losses. Of course, we want to give room for price action, so I will just take it somewhere around the 139.200 and the 138.920 zone area. We want to give enough room for price action to breathe as price still remains below the ascending trend lines we identified at the beginning of the week. Now, with the situation we have here, we shall be looking out for more selling opportunities. Of course, we've been profitable so far this week, so we can afford to place a sell stop order below the 138.320 to maximize the potential of this bearish move to the downside. So this is one scenario we are going to be looking at for today. However, if price action climbs up and continue to find buy pressure, leading to the breakout of the 138.850, then at this point we want to start considering buying the USDJPY. But remember, we are not getting too excited when price breaks out of the 138.850, as we will still need some level of patience to see how price action will be reacting to that area. Is it going to be a true breakout, or is it going to be a false breakout? And to know this, we want to scale down into our lower time frame to look out for confirmations that buyers are actually gaining that momentum, and this would reflect on the chart as a retest of either the 138.850, which happens to be the resistance line of this channel, or the trend line, which also would have been broken after going bullish. So we are not going to be buying unless we have a breakout of that resistance line at the 138.850. Now, one more thing I would like us to acknowledge here is that if price action ever breaks out of the 138.850 level, it would have also broken out of that descending trend line, which has been guiding our trading activity since the beginning of the week. And if you look at the trend line since the beginning of the week, a breakout of this trend line at this point in time will be the first time price action will break out of that trend line. And being the fact that it will be the first time, there is a high chance that price will go to the upside. So we want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. So on that note, we are looking out for buying opportunity at the breakout of the 138.850 level. So this is how we are going to be managing our trades on the USDJPY for this week. So I hope that we mark these levels out on our chart. So our center of focus for today is simply between the 138.850 and the 138.320. So that is how we are going to be trading the USDJPY for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section while I take 10 to 15 minutes out to see if there are any questions. And of course, you can use that time out to mark out these levels on your chart. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page here. And in fact, I'm very, very confident that we are ready and pumped up to take advantage of potential trading opportunities during the London and New York session today, as we were able to run through all the financial instruments on our watch list, identifying different profitable and viable scenarios that we can take advantage of during the sessions. Then that reminds me, I already dropped in the XAUUSD live monitoring window link, which we are going to be using to monitor the XAUUSD live on this platform. So I implore you to click on that link, click on the notify me button, so that when I come online, you will definitely get a notification in that regard. So let's join that link and then be part of that live session. Let's engage in the comment section. Let's talk about and trade the XAUUSD together today. Let's see if we can replicate what we have been doing since the beginning of the week on that instrument again for today. So it has been a wonderful moment with you guys. I see your comment, Ala Sahun. Good morning to you, Hala. How are you doing today? So you are asking for the Telegram link. The link is scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now. You will see it at the bottom of your screen. Okay, I think all right, let me just bring it up for you so you can see it. I have it on the other scenes here, so you will see it at the bottom of your screen scrolling through. And if you can't find it there, you will see it in the description box of this current video. So just click on the description box. You will find the links and all my contact details there. So well done, Hala, and thank you for being around. Richard Blackett, well done to you guys. Thank you for your compliment. I'm very glad that you found the session very useful. So let's see in the XAUUSD live monitoring window later today, 11:45 AM UTC, just 15 minutes before the New York session begins, and let's get into the market and see how we can capitalize on potential trading opportunities on that XAUUSD for today. So if you have found this content very useful in helping you make your independent decision on the instrument we talked about today, please, I beg of you, click the thumbs up button, the like button. Of course, your likes are very valuable to me, as it's a sign of encouragement for me, and it also helps the YouTube algorithm push this video to a wider audience of traders who would also find this material useful to them. Thank you very much as you do so, and I see you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful and beautiful day, everyone. Bye-bye.